Give her a good heat. There you go.
Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. My name's Lucas, and we're sharing our hobbies on 38 acres in eastern Kentucky. And today, our hobbies have brought us to Cambridge, Ohio, to the Paul Bunyan Show. And I have a special treat for you today because, you know, I've been working with Split Fire, and we love our 2265 splitter. So I decided to stop by their booth and just have them tell me all about all the products they have to offer, because they have some new things here that I hadn't seen before and I want to learn about. So I'm here with Marco, and Marco is one of the owners of the company, and he's going to kind of give us the walk around and talk to us. So Marco, thank you for talking to us today.
Thanks for stopping in. Anyways, we have a bunch of stuff here, and we'll start with this machine here. So we had a customer call us and said, hey, can you bring my machine to the show and then drop it off? So we said, no problem.
Yeah.
He ordered a machine here that is a 4000 series with an 8-inch lift. And, you know, one of our higher lift options, it's also a high flow machine.
Yeah.
So it's a 28 gallon minute pump. So, you know, it's just a little over 3 seconds each way. So super productive, lots of power. It's got a nice hydraulic lift on it. So when you want to get that wood up there,
yeah,
it is really useful. And you know, if you're a bit of a taller person, or you're consistently splitting wood that's, let's say, under 20 inches, an 8-inch lift makes a lot of sense. So you're ergonomically, you're always nice and straight all day. You're not bending over at all. So
explain to me exactly what you mean by 8-inch lift. It's 8 inches higher than your normal platform, right? Okay.
Great question. So the standard Split Fire would be 24 inches.
Okay.
We do a 4-inch lift to 28 and an 8-inch lift to 32.
Gotcha.
And within those lifts, you get larger tires. As the lift goes up, the larger the tire gets as well.
Right.
So this machine here obviously has a much larger tank on it to support the flow, and you know, the larger tires make it easier to move around because it does weigh almost 1,300 pounds. Okay. Which is not a light machine anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the one thing I noticed, like with the 2265, when I'm getting into really big rounds, like I put a 24-inch oak round on it that was the butt of the tree, and when I lifted it up, it was wanting to teeter a little bit. Exactly. So I kind of found the limits of that machine. Yeah. This is not going to have any problem with it.
No, that extra weight gives it more stability to it. So.
And I'm surprised by the cycle time that it's as fast as the small machine, because I kind of figured that was your fastest. Yeah. But
no, really, for something like this, if you're splitting by yourself, the speed is kind of overkill. But if you have a person bringing you wood to your lifter, and you have a conveyor here where you're tossing the wood over and instantly taking it away, the speed can be very useful. And they say, you know what, time is money.
Yeah. So you've got the 2265, the 3490, and this is 4213, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So which splitter should a person choose based on their needs? Who do you market each one for?
It's not an easy question to answer. I split about 12 cord a year for myself. I got a 2265.
Yeah.
I love the machine.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little undersized for what I could use, because I split a lot of stuff the county drops off, and it might be 30 inches, the odd piece of 36, and I put my foot on the tire to keep it from tipping over sometimes.
Right.
But I love utilizing it well, and the speed is really nice, and I enjoy the speed of the machine. Nice and quick back and forth. For people that are splitting, you know, under 10 cord or traditionally smaller wood, the 2265 is great.
Right.
We have people that split 100 cord that only get up to 20 inches, and they love the speed. The speed is what they're looking for.
Right.
It's beneficial. If you're splitting like me, you know, 12 cord, you're getting into some larger stuff. A 3000 series machine makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's going to last you 20 years. It's going to have the power to do it. It's going to be able to lift 275, 300 pounds without getting away on you.
Right.
And you know, if budget is no option and you want the biggest, baddest machine, you can go to the 4000 series. Right. But traditionally, you're going to see a 4000 series machine sitting beside maybe a Firewood processor, stuff that is a little too gnarly or a little too crooked or wavy sort of thing. You might take off and split on a 4000 series machine. And there's guys that literally run these 8 hours a day with 3 guys and just put wood through it like no tomorrow sort of thing. So the 4000s really are commercial grade, but we have guys that say, listen, I want the best, I want the most power, I never want to be concerned with it, and they'll spend the money and splurge on a 4000 series machine, and they'll be extremely happy.
Right. Well, and if it's what you're into, I mean, some guys even, it's a hobby. And
Exactly.
hobbies cost money.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of what you can get into as well.
Absolutely.
So these are your traditional splitters. Now I know you have several other options. So
Absolutely.
let's kind of move around and check some of those out.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've moved over here to a couple of pieces of equipment that I know that I can't run. I don't have a skid steer or an excavator yet, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
But tell me about these options, because we do have a lot of viewers that have those machines.
Yeah, absolutely. So we at Splitfire have 3 different variants for skid steer machines. So this will be an 06, which is a cross-mounted skid steer machine. Very popular because the operator is right in front of that zone. You can easily see what's going on. And a lot of times you're going to run that machine with the boom up and it's actually coming down on top of the log, and you can back up and come from the side, so you can use your knuckle as another axis.
Yes.
Which makes it, more effective. We also sell 08 machines, which is inverted, sticking straight out. And we do these in all kinds of stroke lengths too. So if you're doing boiler wood, that's 36, 48 inches. The machine gets long, but we do make those machines. And we also do an 07 machine, which is just like a 3-point hitch. You sit in the cab, you'll put your hydraulic lock on, you'll hop out, and you'll run that log splitter via a valve, just like you would on the back of a tractor. So, people get all sorts and shapes, but the 06 is the most popular because it's quite an effective, way of getting that really big stuff. You've got 48-inch rounds that weigh 600 pounds. Pick it up, move it around, pinch it, split it, and get it down to boiler size, or split it on another splitter after you get it down to a 40-pound block. So,
very cool, very cool.
And then beyond those machines, the excavator machines, we also do. This is our what we call an 09 machine. And again, we do these in a 24, 30, 36-inch, 48-inch stroke. And we do have a bunch of the mounts in a catalog now too, sort of thing. So if you got your Bobcats, your Kubotas, we have a catalog of the mounts. But what's great with these designs, and same for the skid steer design as well too, is that cylinder is encased in the frame. So you don't got to be worried about damaging chrome on a rod or damaging a cylinder. On the hose side, we have a large fabricated, block around it to keep it safe. So these things are meant to be, bumped and push stuff around, and you don't have to be concerned about damaging the actual machine itself. And you can go ahead and be productive splitting your big wood. So
very well engineered. And he might be humble and not say this about himself, but Marco does a lot of the developing of their products, and I've been really impressed. I love their ideas, and so I really like working with you guys. It's great. Yeah,
we appreciate you guys as well.
Okay, so we have a couple of other designs over here that I could run. They're for 3-point hitch on the tractor. And I actually, when I was first shopping for a splitter, I thought that would be a great thing to have, is I wouldn't have to have another motor to maintain.
Absolutely.
So I was researching about running off of the hydraulics from the tractor, but what I found is I don't have enough flow rate to really effectively run a splitter on my small subcompact tractor.
For sure.
But explain to us what you've got here.
So this here is a 4403. A gentleman called and said, hey, can you bring it down to the show, drop it off my place? We said, absolutely. So this is a 32-ton machine, but it has the optional PTO kit too. Now this is a 17-gallon per minute PTO kit because it's a 4000 series frame, so we need that flow. But there's some tractors that have good flow, and there's many tractors that don't have good flow. And it's disappointing because tractors have great power and torque. But the hydraulic system is not really optimized for high flow. And so we still sell a lot of the 3-point hitch machines for guys that have, a 40 horsepower tractor, and in certain cases, let's say you have an older pony tractor that doesn't have the flow, or maybe it's like a subcompact that has 24, 25 horsepower, you can put a PTO kit on it and really utilize that machine properly and get great performance out of the splitter.
So you're getting 17 gallons per minute on this model here. What does it take to run the 3203?
So we have a smaller PTO pump that you can put on a 3203. That being said, you could put, if you had over 25, let's say you had a 28 or 30 horsepower, you could put the 17-gallon per minute pump on the 3203, but run it at 300 PTO RPM, so the tractor's not
so you're not running. Okay, so we've stepped over here to the smaller unit. Now, what's the rating on this one?
So this is 20 ton, 22 ton, depending on your pressure. We have people that run it at 2,500 PSI, 2,300 PSI. Now, we don't really recommend that, but the cool thing with a split fire is, let's say you have low flow and low pressure, it's still better than running a one-way log splitter because it's a two-way splitter. Even though the cycle's slow, you're still doubling your cycle, or cutting your cycle time in half with a two-way split effectively. So, you could have a tractor that has lower flow and lower pressure, best thing to say is call split fire.
Yeah.
And we will try and get you in the direction where it's going to make you happy.
Yeah. So do you have like a minimum gallons per minute that you would recommend for this?
Really, anything under 8, you're really pushing it.
Okay.
From a patient's point of view.
Yeah, at 8 gallons per minute, it takes definitely a step up from the subcompacts. I mean, I think I'm running like 4.5, 5 gallons per minute. So, okay, that's good information. Now, I did see over here you have a table splitter. So let's go over here and check that out.
For sure. So the 1165 is our first iteration of a vertical machine, and these have been popular in Europe and in New Zealand, Australia for a long time, and we have kind of developed the 1165 into this machine. And this is more speed than power, and so when you're doing your smaller rounds up to 20 inches, you're going for smaller splits, more accurate splits. That's what a machine like this is for. You're not going to be putting your 36-inch rounds on here. The lifter can lift about 150 pounds, and it works as a great work table as well. So that's really what the 1165 is about. On this machine here, we have the optional knee control now, which is on the Split Fire website as well. So
that's cool. I've not seen that on any others.
Yeah, so it's our version of an auxiliary control, trying to keep things safe.
Right.
We really looked into it and said, how can we make things safer per se? Because this being a lower cost machine, there's people that are going to use this that have never split wood before. Right. So we need to think about those people. Yeah. A lot of guys here have split wood for 10, 20 years sort of thing, so they understand. But there's people that buy this that have no understanding at all, so we have to keep them safe as well.
Absolutely. Now, do you have an electric version of this as well?
We do, absolutely. So I actually have an electric version at my house. I use it in my shop the odd time. The electric is good. It's 110. You can get it away on a 15 amp plug as long as the extension cord is not too long. So
okay.
They come with a 25-foot extension cord. Anything beyond that, you're going to want a 20 amp circuit. Because the longer the cord, the more amps she's going to pull.
Right. Now, I can see that being really nice for, like, if you had it in your shop and you need to make some kindling or whatever. It's really quick. You got electric, so no exhaust.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, keep in mind that the cycle time is slightly slower than the gas-powered machine, right? So this is about a 3-second cycle time. The electric is going to go to 4 1/4, so it's slightly slower, but we want to keep it 110 volts. We don't want to have to put a dedicated 220 circuit in your shop to run it.
No, that makes sense. That's cool. Okay, so now we're to the one machine that I am really excited about, and that's their wood chipper, because it's unlike any wood chipper that I've really seen. So tell me about this.
Yeah, so the 4090 was, again, my weird take on making a chipper totally different that works really, really well. We've made other chippers in the past that had a regular, in-feed chute tapered down to a rectangle for a 4-inch branch.
Right.
And the issue was that we were having trouble feeding stuff to get it into that smaller hole. So we said, you know what? Let's make a 4-inch chipper, but let's put a gaping hole on it. So this one here is about 6 inches wide and then about 16 inches long sort of thing in a half moon shape. So it's got a large opening so that when you're putting your wide branches in or any kind of really leafy substance, it just has the ability to slide right through.
Right. Yeah, so my traditional chipper that I'm using is, it chips, but it's a lot of work. I end up having to pull them back out and cut them with a chainsaw, and you can get it done, but it's a lot of work.
And so that's the first thing, was the first goal was to make it easier to chip. Second thing was maintenance. A log splitter doesn't need maintenance very often. Chipper is a little different. You got blades, you got bearings, stuff has to get greased. So you can see we put these clamps in the chipper. We can basically take the whole thing apart. The bottom casing around the belt can come off. And you don't need to require a single tool to do that. You can just unlatch stuff, pull it apart, inspect it. And it's you can do a blade change in under 14 minutes if you have the right tools sort of thing.
All right, now you've got a Honda 11 horse?
Yeah, so it's a GXB 390, so they say 13 in quotes, but I think the true horsepower is right around 11 horsepower. And we make a 3-point hitch version as well. Nice. Which is really effective because this here is limited power.
Sure.
And we could put a bigger engine on it. We might one day, but the cost is going to go up significantly.
Right.
And 3-point hitch is you can use the torque off a diesel engine off a compact very efficiently. So, I mean, you have a 25 horsepower tractor, I do believe, somewhere in that range. A 3-point hitch machine would be fantastic for a little unit like that.
Okay, so quick question about the drive system on these. So I'm assuming this is belt driven, right?
It is.
So you've got a centrifugal clutch.
Yep.
And do you ever get jams that lock up the clutch?
So great question. So the clutch on this system here is designed like you would on your ATV or snowmobile. As that rotor speeds up, the clutch bears harder on the pulley and it speeds up. Now, if you were to put a 4.5-inch branch in here that was 8 feet long, it's going to cause that rotor to stall. And the most that could ever damage is the belts. And it's just a single V belt, which is $18 belts.
Right, okay.
And you can swap that. I can swap it in 3.5 minutes. If you were to put the timer on it, I can put new belts. And so traditionally, if you know your chipper, you can hear the rotor slow down and you're going to pull that branch out before the rotor stalls. Right. It requires a good jerk, not a casual pull, because this machine here is designed to pull the stuff in. So you want to give it a good jerk to pull it away from the next blade so that it releases and you can pull that thing out so it can build up the inertia again. Okay, so the next question is your PTO-driven version. What's the safety mechanism on that? Is it a shear bolt or a clutch on the PTO shaft? So there's a shear bolt on it for the shock load prevention. Okay. But if you simply took a 5-inch branch and you threw it in there and you had, let's say, a small Kubota BX18 with limited power again, you will by all means stall that. Yeah, that's what I was picturing. Yeah, so. Exactly. Okay. So, but if you have 40 horsepower or 50 horsepower, you can put a 4-inch branch in there and that's going to pump. It's just going to eat. And it's going to eat. Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, Marco, man, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking us around to your products and showing us everything. And I especially appreciate you guys working with us. I mean, you really were one of our first partners, and that means something to me. So I wanted to kind of take the time and show the products that you guys have. Well, we love people that have the ambition to start YouTube channels. We also love technical people that understand mechanics and just are generally good people. That's who we like to sell to. It's like, you know, we love working with those people, and we really appreciate, you know, you working with Splitfire as well. All right, well, thanks a lot. Well, guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed today's video, getting to check out all the products that Splitfire has to offer. And until next time, get outside and enjoy God's creation, because it's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.